Alright, so I'm gonna go over just my build here real quick. For parsing, so I'm running the Thief Stone and I'm running Ghastly Eyeball. I pretty much always run Ghastly Eyeball unless I'm in like a prog or something, then I'm gonna put on Witch Mothers. Especially if you have a good group comp, you don't necessarily need Ghastly Eyeball. I am not buffed at all. I'm running 34.7k mag, 1600 recovery, 20k max health, 13k stam, 3.5k spell damage, and 49% crit on the back bar. And then for the front bar, I'm looking at 34.7 mag, 1600 mag recovery, 22k HP, 13k stam, 2.9k spell damage. My spell damage buff wore off. I'm going to reapply that real quick. 3.5k spell damage and 64% crit. So it's pretty good. Make sure you're running that Thief Stone. You can run the Shadow, but since I'm a cat, you don't really need to run the Shadow. You already pretty much have a built-in Shadow there. Skills on the back bar, Unstable Wall of Fire, Winter's Revenge, Scalding Rune, Flex Spot, I will go over that here in a minute. Inner Light, Flex Spot again, I'll go over that here in a minute. Blue Betty, Eternal Guardian, and then Deep Fissure, which is your semi-spammable, that's going to be cast every 2-3 skills. Veteran Infection, Flame Reach, Degeneration. You can run Structured Entropy here. Most people do run Structured Entropy, especially because the Blue Betty is your major sorcery bonus if you want to run Heroes and Pots. I just have this degen because I've always ran degen. Inner Light again, you always want Inner Light here because that does allow you to run Heroes and Pots. And that does give you the major prophecy buff plus the 5% more mag. And then you have to double bar Eternal Guardian. Eternal Guardian is really overpowered, especially in Execute, with its 100% damage bonus to enemies below 25% HP, and you always want to cast this on cooldown. Other than that, make sure you get your passives. The only passive you really need in this tree, since you're not really running any of these heals, is the last one, because when you recast your Blue Betty, it does count as a heal, which gives you the minor toughness. And I do not have minor toughness right here, so when I cast it, I don't have it. When I recast it, it dies and heals me, I get minor toughness. And then for CP slottables, you're going to want, in the blue tree, Fighting Finesse, Biting Aura, Thaumaturge, and Backstabber. If you are in content and you cannot hit the back of the boss, for instance Sunspire, take off Backstabber and run Deadly Aim for the single target attacks, because that does buff your degen, your bear. It buffs a lot of things, so Deadly Aim is really, really good. You can swap in and out Deadly Aim and Biting Aura if you prefer one or the other. The DPS difference is very minimal. I just have it set at Biting Aura right now because that's what I got my best results of. Red Tree, totally up to you what you need. I do really like running this passive, especially for trash pulls. It does really help. You get a lot of mag back every time you kill something. And this is completely up to you, the green tree is, so that's totally subjective. Make sure when you're parsing that you do have the dummy facing away from you, so you can get that backstabber bonus. I know that's kind of cheese, but honestly, in a good comp, you're pretty much always going to be at the back of the boss anyways. The only other thing I do want to talk about is my gear. I am running Medusa. I really am not a fan of Mother Sorrow anymore now that I have Medusa. One less thing you got to keep up. One more flex spot you can have. If you are running Mother Sorrow in the inner light on the back bar, you would run Barb Trap or Channeled Acceleration there. And I am running a precise Inferno Staff and Medusa with the flame damage whiff on the front bar. I'll go over why here in a second. And on my back bar, I'm actually running an Infused. This will be changed to Decisive here soon. An Infused Maelstrom Inferno should be Decisive. It's a little strange, I know, but bear with me. And then an Absorb Mag enchant on the back bar. That really helps out with Sustain. In a lot of content, actually, this would be a Poison enchant on the back bar. But it does really help out with Sustain, especially if you're running Orb, because Mystic Orb is very, very expensive. So you can really get away with running that in all content, even if the healers are struggling a little bit to give you some resources. So I typically will always run this Absorb Mag enchant, just because it's really helpful and it's not that big of a DPS loss, because it does still do damage, and it does restore you some mag. Zons, if you can run 7 light, go ahead. I'm running 6-1 at the moment with 1 medium, just because I can't get those light arms to drop. All divines, all max mag enchants, bloodthirsty on the jewelry, all spell damage. And the flex spots on your back bar, again, like I said, if you're running Mother Sorrow, you can feel free to run this as Barb Trap, because you're going to need the Source of Minor Force or Shout Acceleration. This spot here, Scalding Rune. During boss fights, you're going to run Scalding Rune, so parsing your one Scalding Rune as well, just like you're in a boss fight. If you're in trash pulls, I would definitely run Mystic Orb here. Now, you can do a full dot rotation without this inner light here, and in that case you would run orb here as well, and then you would run shulks every 2 skills. So it would be wall, revenge, shulks, scalding rune, orb, shulks, fetcher, flame reach, shulks, ulti, degen, shulks, and then on the next one, instead of doing the ulti because it won't be up, you do Blue Betty. If you are doing this, you don't need the decisive backbar to keep that up, or heroism pots, because your ult will always be up. It'll line up perfectly every single time. I don't like to do that. I actually find that I get better results if I do run inner light here. In content, I don't run inner light here. I actually run sometimes harness Magicka, rarely, but most of the time I'm going to run Arctic Blast. You can run Polar Wind if you want. It does heal the group, but I like Arctic Blast because it does a little bit of damage, and it's a really, really good burst heal. So if you're doing like portals or something in VCR or VHOF, definitely having that healed there is going to be very, very beneficial to you, because you can't rely on that Blue Betty heal all the time. It's only a 5k heal. I know it's free, but it is kind of a, or it's a, yeah, 5k heal, but it's kind of a pain to do. So I definitely recommend running Arctic Blast or Polar Wind here, whichever you prefer. But for this rotation, it's very, very simple. If you have that decisive backbar, this will line up properly. If not, I'll go over that here in a little bit. So for my rotation, what I do is my pre-buff with Blue Betty, my Scalding Rune, and then I go Schultz, Wall, Winter's Revenge, Scalding Rune, Schultz, Fetcher, Flame Reach, Schultz, Ulti, Degen, Schultz, Wall, Revenge, Rune, Schultz, Fetcher, Flame Reach, Schultz, Blue Betty, Degen, Schultz. You're just going to repeat that over and over again. If you have that decisive backbar, that ulti will line up perfectly. If you don't, make sure you always cast that ulti on your front bar. Right now it is lining up perfectly, but here in a minute you're going to see what happens to my ulti and what I'm going to have to do. Make sure you're always trying to get that Shulk blast on your front bar as well. So I always cast Blue Betty first. That also helps me line up those energy field passes with the Scalding Ring and the degen. I only have like a 2-3 second downtime currently with them. So my ulti is starting to slow down a little bit, so I had to cast degen there just a little bit early to not lose DPS, and this one is not going to line up at all this next rotation here. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of trickery to get that to line up for me and be able to get that off in this rotation. So I'm going to stay with it, degen, and then Flame Reach again because it has a buff there, and then I'm going to cap it right before I swap fire so the 7 the buff. And then it's back at it again. You're just going to have to do that. Just always cast that ulti on your front bar to make sure you always get it, and make sure you're always casting that Blue Betty, and make sure it's always up. You always want that up. That's going to be your sustain, everything. If you don't have anything else to cast Flame Reach again, or cast your Scalding Rune. So I'm going to hold off on that ulti here. I'm going to make sure that lines up properly. I'm going to go ulti, and my Blue Betty's about to run out. So I'm going to cast my Blue Betty as soon as I get on my back card and make sure that stays up. And Shulk is going to go off early here. That's totally fine. Just stick with it. Cast Blue Betty again. It is helpful. That way it lines up better next time. Probably should have done that last time, but you know, in retrospect. I'm going to cast degen. I'm going to get that ulti off. Make sure your pots are going up, and as you notice, I'm really never running out of mag. In content, you will run out of mag, and if you are running Mystic, or you are going to really dip low in mag if you're not running Restore mag and chat on your back bar. I always like to stay as much mag as possible, because you never know when you're going to need it, or what you're going to need it for. So again here, I'm going to do this Shulk, ulti bar swap. I know I have like a second downtime on my wall there, but it's going to be much more damage if I can get that ulti off as much as possible. So I'm just going to finish off this first, and I'll let you guys walk. here and make sure I have some big burst at the end here. I'm gonna go ahead and recast my Betty, get my Fusion up, get that big ulti pop, and then I'm just gonna spam this range. Alright, 84k. I had to go a little slow there at the beginning, but the full parse, you can find that on my channel. I think it's about 85, 86, can't quite remember, it's somewhere in the mid to high 80s. So yeah, this is my build though. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments. If you are in any of my guilds on PlayStation NA, Dawn of Agents, the Noble Alliance, or from the back, feel free to message me on there or in Discord. I am always available. I can answer any of your questions. Leave them down in the comments if you have any questions about the rotation, the skills, if I'm doing something weird that you don't agree with. Please let me know. I'm more than willing to kind of explain my method in the madness. But thanks for watching. Hope you all have a great day.